So you want to know how I did it, huh? How I got away with the brutal murder of my ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman back in 1994. Well, let me tell you, it wasn't easy. When the cops showed up at my mansion with a warrant for my arrest, I thought for sure my goose was cooked. But luckily for me, my legal dream team was able to pull some tricks out of their sleeves and create just enough reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury to get me off scot-free. My fame, fortune, and charisma probably didn't hurt either, if I'm being totally honest. The prosecution thought they had a slam-dunk case, but in the end, the only slamming that happened was me slamming back champagne to celebrate my not guilty verdict. The trial of the century, they called it. And man, did I end up on the right side of history with that one. When I decided I had to get rid of Nicole, I knew I had to plan this thing carefully. I started by figuring out her daily routine, when she left the house, where she went, who she saw. I needed to know exactly when she'd be alone and vulnerable. After a couple of weeks of watching and tracking, I realized the best time would be late at night when she was home alone. So one evening I parked down the street in my white Bronco and waited for the lights to go off. Around 10:30 p.m., the whole house went dark. I quietly slipped in through the back gate with my trusty knife and leather gloves. When I got to the front door, it was unlocked. She had gotten lazy about home security since we split up. Big mistake. I found Nicole in the living room and quickly overpowered her. She put up a fight, but I was bigger and stronger. I stabbed her repeatedly until I knew she was gone for good. Then I moved on to Ron Goldman. That poor sap was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I had to eliminate any witnesses. When I was done, I calmly walked back to my Bronco, covered in blood but feeling triumphant. My plan had worked perfectly. No one suspected a thing, and by the time the bodies were found, I was kicking back in my mansion across town, establishing my alibi. Sometimes being a celebrity has its perks. Everyone wanted to believe I was innocent. And just like that, I got away with murder. The key to getting away with it was framing that crime scene just right. First, I had to establish my alibi. I made sure I was seen at that restaurant, chatting up the waitstaff, shaking hands and kissing babies. By the time I left, dozens of people would swear I was there all night. Then the gloves had to go on. I wiped that place down, top to bottom. Doorknobs, banisters, you name it. I even mopped the floor to get rid of any trace of my footprints. The murder weapon was next. I took that knife and tossed it right into the river along with her clothes, purse, and any other evidence I could find. Sunk to the bottom, never to be seen again. Once the scene was set, I called 911 and put on the performance of a lifetime. I wept, I wailed, I stumbled around in a grief-stricken daze. The cops ate it up, gave me their condolences, and assured me they'd catch the monster who did this. Little did they know he was standing right in front of them. By the time the dust settled and the autopsy was done, there was nothing left to tie me to the crime. No murder weapon, no fingerprints, no witnesses. I walked away a free man, my name cleared forever. And that, my friends, is how I got away with murder. My defense strategy was simple: create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors. I knew that if even one juror believed I might not be guilty, I had a chance of walking free. Destroying evidence. From the moment Nicole's body was discovered, my goal was to eliminate any traces of my DNA or fingerprints at the crime scene. I made sure my defense team arrived at the house before the police, giving them time to scrub down areas I may have touched. We also removed a back gate to make it appear as an intruder may have entered. These actions were unethical but necessary to raise doubts. I needed an airtight alibi for the time of the murders. I claimed I was at home sleeping when Nicole and Ron were killed. My houseguest, Cato Kalin, initially provided corroboration, but later testified he didn't know if I was home during the crucial hours. Still, without conclusive evidence, I wasn't home. My alibi held up. My team painted me as the victim of a racist LAPD out to frame me. They claimed evidence was mishandled and compromised due to my race. While the lead investigator had used a racial slur in the past, there was no proof it impacted the investigation. Still, it was enough to plant seeds of doubt. I hired the best attorneys money could buy. Their fame and charisma distracted from the evidence, and they were highly skilled at manipulating the jury's emotions. They attacked every witness and made the trial about race and police misconduct instead of the facts of the case. My dream team was essential to overcoming the DNA evidence and casting doubt on my guilt. In the end, by obfuscating the truth and promoting conspiracy theories, I got away with murder. The not guilty verdict shocked the world, but showed what money and fame can achieve when bent on subverting justice. So there you have it, the inside scoop on how the trial of the century unfolded and how I managed to beat the system. Some call it a miscarriage of justice, but as the saying goes, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. For now, I'm living the good life on the golf course soaking in the sun. Who knows, maybe I'll even write another book about it. After all, everyone loves a good story with a surprise ending. My advice? Next time you find yourself in a sticky situation, make sure the evidence is on your side and you just might slip away into the sunset too. Catch you on the links.